Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. Welcome back to yet another exciting series of this PMP PMI exam preparation session. So thanks to each one of you for taking out time and being with us today. To appreciate this, we'll be sharing one practice sheet at the end of this session, which you may be able to use for your preparation as well as you plan through it. My name is Deb, and I will be co-hosting this call along with Amrali and Maureen. We are recording this session for the benefit of all others who could not join this session. Before we get started, I request everyone to keep yourself muted so that, and we will be able to take your questions, suggestions at the end of this call. So without further delay, let's dive in. The very first, like this session is more about the critical steps that you should be keeping in your mind while you are preparing your exam. What are the certain things that you should be cognizant, you should be aware of the pitfalls, so that you are able to ensure like you are on the right track. Basically, in a nutshell, we'll be discussing the preparation tips or the planning tips. The very first tip that comes to my mind is basically take this exam with the right spirit. I think what I have seen, or like what many people miss out, is like during this course of preparation is the sincerity and the urgency. I've heard, I've seen many people failing, like they with very really good project management experience, almost having 10 years, 15 years of experience, but they unfortunately they failed, and they themselves have acknowledged the primary reason for the failure being like they did not take this exam seriously, they were overconfident, or lacked certain concepts. So like in fact the PMP exam and the real life project management experience are two different things, and many times they may not match also. So like my suggestion is to use the project management experience to supplement your studies, to build your concepts and not to skip your preparation, right? So don't be overconfident, understand the terms, take this exam seriously, plan your activities accordingly. So just like any serious activity, we need to strategize ourselves, correct? So having an actionable plan and then working on that plan, and taking corrective actions and making it more realistic as we go down. So in fact, like if you see, like in fact, the PMI themselves have given us how we should be planning our exam. Like we have all these different broad categories like initiation, planning, execution, monitoring. And if we take that itself and put it into our actionable plan, we can very well see that, okay, the very first action is to start and apply for the exam, get your exam date, like which is really a good start, and which will give you a good visibility of how and when and what is your target date, and which is followed with your strategic approach to your studies. So this brings us to our next thought, next step, which is like identify your learning strategy. So I would think like just take a moment, like think about your last successful exam or the certification that you took. Identify the strategy that worked for you specifically, and you need to apply those tips, those working models for your PMP preparation. So just think what worked for you. How were you able to learn those concepts in those previous exams? So like you may be aware, like there are many methods and tricks, like just for example, like which can help you to concentrate, to memorize, or to avoid procrastination. Like for example, like visualization, or story making, or writing down your notes as you read, or like even many people prefer to highlight the text with different colors as they read, or read through the printouts or the notes. So like just if I recollect like from my childhood as well, like if I correlate this like just to remember the rainbow colors, so I would use the acronym as the VIBGAR, or even making up a full sentence with the initial letter of the colors, right? Just making it a sentence like Richard of York gave battle in vain, which effectively gives you the color names basically. So any kind of this kind of analogies or acronyms will help you to memorize the basic framework, and then you can build upon on that framework itself to build upon your concepts. So my suggestion is to identify your own strategy, what works for you best, and then you can build upon it. I myself had prepared like brain maps, then notes while reading the book itself. So to elaborate this learning strategy a bit more, I can also suggest like you can think about how do you plan to read the whole content of that book. Like this PMP book, the guide itself is not a easy one-day task, right? So you have to plan it out. How do you plan to consume the whole content? So it can be like in terms of PMP itself, like it can be adaptive approach or predictive approach, meaning like if you want to select one topic at a time, give the mock test, then move on to the next topic, then give the specific topic test, and so on. Which we can we can say that yeah, it is a agile adaptive approach. Or if you are comfortable with a waterfall model, wherein like you can read the whole content first, understand the concepts, understand their relationships, the what processes leads to what, how the output of one process triggers the other. So that can be also another strategy. So just think about yourself, what makes you more comfortable and how you want to plan your activities. That is one of the most critical thing which you need to understand, and you need to take your own strengths basically to help yourself. Now this third tip, which like I think many people may disagree or agree to it, but I feel like you really need to memorize the some of the basic concepts, which is like probably 20% of the whole content, but at least memorizing those basic concepts will help you to build your successful frame above it. Just from for example, like in my childhood, I would memorize ABCD to start with, right? And that would help me to learn the words and then to read the sentences. So ABCD is basically those building models, those basic framework, basic concepts. So similarly, like in the PMP also, I would think like to learn the key terms, to learn the key topics from each of these processes or the tasks that have been identified. So you really need to understand and build upon that. So like just from example, like in the PMP itself, if we take that as an example, like CPI, SPI, those who have already started their preparation, like you may understand like CPI, SPI are nothing but the performance indicators. The one is for the cost, other one is for the schedule. And you may have also come across those formulas to calculate the CPI and SPI. But again, to build the concept, like it can be well summarized in one statement itself. Like if less than one, it's bad. And this statement itself covers the CPI and the SPI concept itself. So what does this statement mean? Like if less than one, it's bad. Like if when we take it in respect to CPI, so if CPI is less than one, it's bad, which means that the cost is running over budget, right? And similarly for SPI, which refers to the schedule, if the schedule is running bad, which means that like the project is probably running slow than expected. So this is how you can just probably have one sentence which can relate it to the concept, and then you don't even need to remember those formulas. But yes, formula can help you to like in the exam, like even if there are many instances where you don't need to have those formulas at all, the questions are not formula based, but again knowing the formula, knowing the concept can definitely help you to gain more confidence while attempting those questions. So similarly, I would suggest to focus on concepts, try to focus on their key terms and their meanings. That will definitely help you to understand the question and to give the probable answer, to eliminate the wrong answers, to identify the correct answers. Moving on to the next step, next suggestion is definitely like control your emotions and trust your preparation and plan. This is going to be like a long, like depending upon your preparation, depending upon your plan, it can range from like 2 to 3 weeks or like 2 to 3 months kind of planning or preparation. So during this, you will go through many ups and downs. You will have, it's quite normal, like anxiety is quite normal and it is part of any exam taking process. So it's like you need to accept it and don't let it overwhelm you. You have to go through it, you be prepared for that kind of turmoil. So once you have prepared your study plan, try to stick to it, revise your plan to suit your requirements and make it more realistic. That's how it is. You have to be really sticking to your plan, whatever you have done, to get to the finish line basically. Giving like one good approach to ensure that you are able to control your anxiety is giving a positive feed to your brain. I remember during my preparation days as well, I would take a 4 hour mock test and then I would at least give myself 2 hours break to just reconvene, to get back to my status. Even if the test would have been terrible, I would think like, yes, I am on the right path, I am improving, I am getting closer to the finish line. So basically try to encourage yourself, try to give positive feed, and that will definitely help you. Just taking a break, or visualizing your success, or having going for a walk, or spending time with your dog, or gardening, any kind of activity which will at least take you away from your negative mindset, and then will help you to again charge back to the preparation mode. And that is very much required, and it's really a long preparation time. So definitely you should be able to control your anxiety and negative mindset if it creeps in. uh, Next, and our last thought or suggestion is to use your resources effectively. Be it your time, resources, it can be your time, your effort, your monetary resources that you are paying for, or the relearning activities that you are doing. So everything has a cost associated to it. So just think from that perspective, like you are putting your time, right? So it has a cost, so you don't want to get it wasted, be it your effort, be it your time, or anything, whatever it is. So don't spend too much of your time in searching for questions or materials. And trust me, like there are hundreds, there are tons of materials available over the internet. There is no shortcut. You have to put 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 hours per day, or weekends, to go through this exam itself. Like just following 2 or 3 different resources, like 2 different sources for questions or for your materials, that should be good to learn your concepts, and just try to revise those concepts again and again. That will definitely help you to build upon it, and to understand and to get to it how to apply those concepts in the real questions, or the situational questions. So again, like word of caution is, like there are materials available over the internet, and they may not be reliable, just simply because they do not replicate, or they do not mimic the actual PMP exam format, or they may be like referencing to some older version. Just for example, like after January 2021, the format has changed, and they may be referring to the old format itself. So just be cognizant of this fact while choosing your references, your materials, and while preparing for your exam. Similarly, from my experience, a similar thing had happened to me as well, wherein I did find it really difficult to differentiate the materials between the fifth edition and the sixth edition. Luckily, as of now, the seventh edition has not come in yet, but yes, you may also find in the similar situation wherein the you may be referring to the fifth edition itself. So just be careful which version you are referring to and which materials, whether they are relevant, whether they are recommended or not, and then start to build your preparation. So so just for example, I have taken up like the content outline, the examination content outline. So my suggestion would be, you should check this content outline guidelines as well as the PM book mapping guidelines while you are preparing it. So over here, if you see, this snapshot refers to the people domain with almost 14 tasks in it. And many people have asked us this question, like, how do we relate all these different tasks now that PMP book 7th edition is not yet available, and we have to prepare with the 6th edition. So how does this information relate to the PM book 6th edition? So again, these tasks are nothing but, again, can be mapped to the processes itself. So if you look at the previous snapshot over here, like the task 2 and the task 6, which is lead a team and the build a team, they are nothing but they are the processes in the PM book version 6, which actually refers to the plan, resource management, acquire resources. So again, you will be able to find PM book 6th edition relevant, and all these processes are the framework based on which these tasks are built. So again, my suggestion is, always refer to the PMI guidelines, the mapping guidelines, the content outline, and any kind of references which are provided by PMI. They are the Bible, basically. They are the source of truth. And any other references that you are taking it, just ensure that you are following through the recommended ones, not going through any kind of pitfalls. Moving on, this is one of the Excel sheet. Uh, move, mo- Moving on, this is one of the Excel sheet, which is actually, just a second, let me mute someone. Yeah, so this is one of the Excel sheet which I had personally used for my practice, for my just to understand what processes are in different stages, and to basically memorize or to help to understand the interrelationship between the processes. So you will be able to get this sheet as well by subscribing to our YouTube channel, posting your comments as well. But again, this is helpful to us. Just see if how best you can put it into use. So just to walk it through, like, it has different tabs. Like, one of them is this is the PMI chart, where it has all the contents, and this is the template where like over here all the broad categories of the process groups are: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing. And what I used to do is, like, probably every morning or every evening, I would start filling it all. Initially it may take 15-20 minutes to fill it in. With practice, you can bring it down within 5 minutes. But yes, once you start filling in, it will look like something like this, like with all this knowledge areas on the left, with all different processes in. So the way to use this sheet is, like, again, memorizing all these things, which process belongs to which scope, which process group, which knowledge area. That really helps a lot while answering the question. So just for example, like, you may be asked a question wherein, the situational question may be referring to the defined activities related scenario, and they may be asking that, okay, what the manager should have done in this situation. So in that case, like, you if you know that this scenario is actually related to the scheduling and planning, you can easily eliminate many other options which might be related to the cost or quality or some other knowledge area, and then you can directly focus on the outputs or the tools which are used specifically for the defined activities process. So again, knowing which process falls under which group, under which knowledge area, that definitely helps. Or again, like, just for example, like plan schedule management, the outputs of this will be somewhat kind of an input for the next process, which is the defined activity. So having this in sequence and knowing that which falls under which category definitely helps a lot. So this was one of my starting building block to get started with the preparation and planning, and then framing, and then building, adding meat to it, basically to understand what does collect requirement mean, what does define scope mean, and how does define scope differentiate, can be different from the plan scope. So this is how you should be getting started with your preparation. You can definitely get this sheet once you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then we will be sending it across to you as well. So these are very high level tips and thoughts which I thought that probably which will help you to make your planning more robust. So with this we come to an end for this today's session, and definitely, like, we have many more tips and tricks, like mind mapping or brain dump or topic specific knowledge as well, that we can provide to you. And in case if you are interested for any kind of personalized discussions or one-to-one kind of planning, or just to help you through your preparation, please send us email with your queries. We will be definitely responding to those. We can definitely help you in that. And with this, I will just stop the recording,